Okay, I'm going to dive into it. There's quite a bit to share. I think it'll be quite interesting for all of us to concentrate and participate in a discussion as much as we can help it. So we're talking about brain features, or possibly in modern times have become bugs. So the brain, as we probably all read somewhere or another, has evolved with one primary purpose, and that is to ensure your survival as a species, as an individual. So everything it does is to make sure you will survive, so that the species survive. And what was definitely pro-survival back in the savannas and maybe caveman days is a totally different situation right now. So we'll go through those, and I want you to see how much this mirror your life today. I think you'll find that a lot of these features have gradually but surely become bugs in our days today. So let's take an example and see what that where that leads us. So back in the days, if you were in the jungle or in anywhere in the forest and you heard noises, the first thing that occurs to you is, oh, a predator. You're not going to assume anything else because you are talking about survival. It could be anything, but you assume a predator. You haven't seen anything, you just heard it. So the mind becomes supremely focused. It filters out all other distraction and listens out to this predator that is going to possibly attack you. So as you can see, one of the first, if you like, features is to filter out, to become single-minded and focused. Second, you go through assumptions. It is really engineered, so you make assumptions, and based on those assumptions, you have to act. Then you remember days as well that maybe when you went out hunting with your family or your father or your, if you like, tribe people, how it attacked and possibly mauled one of you. So you remember, you judge it as a dangerous situation, it's a life and death situation, and you do that all the time. And you label it as really mortal. The emotion is fear, and that makes you act really quickly, fast, whether you run, you freeze, you attack, whatever you decide to do. The mind doesn't mind a bit of exaggeration, that this could be one of the biggest beasts I'm going to face. It wants you to react excessively to save yourself from definite death. So you are telling your colleagues, be quiet, listen out, and then as you label it as a clear and present danger, you might decide now is the time to run. If this is the same as the tiger my father faced or someone else, we have no chance of fighting it. So we may want to run for cover. So what do? Before you give the signal, you hear some more noise in the bush. And when you look, you suddenly find that it wasn't a tiger, it was a few birds that making noise, and now the flock flies away. Now you might sheepishly think, oh, I made a big fuss about this, and it was only a bird or two, it's not a big deal. But actually, you're not embarrassed about that. It's okay. It's a small mistake because the prize is survival. You don't mind the mistake. You'd rather exaggerate. You rather label it as a clear and present danger. So this works really well in life and death situation. So those features that we now fear could be bugs were really pro-survival back then. Now, let's look at a typical feature or bug situation. These features are like tools that help us survive. But like every tool, a tool can be used like here a screwdriver is showing. to help you with your work at home, or mistake or not, can poke you in the eye and be harmful. So we really have to examine all these features to make sure they are truly helpful features or they're bugs that can harm our life and our happiness. So let's look at a typical situation, maybe more in an office environment or at home. So let's say you somehow lost your glasses, your reading glasses. Okay, this is more likely in a typical office or home. There are no tigers here, so you lost them. Let's see how you go through the sequence. I'm trying to give you, if you like, a flavor before we dive into them individually. So the first thought is, I can't find them anywhere. First of all, your mind filtered the whole anywhere. There's a big house or a big office. Now you filtered everything and say, I can't find them anywhere. And then you occurs to you, these are my favorite. I love those glasses. The emotion comes into it. Yet another feature, which in the jungle was maybe fear and helpful, now the emotion is maybe you're sad to lose them, maybe you regret. Then you have another feature that could be a bug. I can't function without those. I can't see. I depend on them. So you do prediction. Prediction, again, is very helpful, but in the wrong circumstances, not so good. Those are my lucky glasses. Whenever I read something, a document, things go well for me. So you label them your lucky glasses. In the jungle, you labeled it clear and present danger, death or a life situation. We spent so many times together, me and those glasses. I bought them 20 years ago, maybe, or 10, depending how old you are, and I hate to part with them. Now I can't see anything without them. Even the other glasses I have, they're not as good as those. See the exaggeration. Again, exaggeration is helpful in the past. Now you have to be careful. You're not exaggerating in a simple office situation. And then jumps in an assumption. Somebody stole them. They fancied them. And I wonder if it is in the house, is that maid? Maybe I saw her once reading with glasses. Maybe she liked them. Now you made assumptions again. And those assumptions, you pay a price every time you make an assumption, because now you start to look at the other with suspicion. And then you make another label, I can't trust her. See, and now you have a different relationship with another human being based on just a label you threw out there. Then you say, first my glasses, next it'll be my jewelry, or my other valuables, or my money. Exaggeration jumps into it. Can you see the flow, how all these things on their own, they may seem innocent. If you compile all of this on top of each other, what was really features in the past slowly but suddenly become bugs that can actually make life not so good. Then maybe you're sitting on your favorite chair and you feel a lump under you and you think, oh, what's that? And you pull and it's your glasses. You just misplaced them and you sat on them. Okay, so in the jungle, it was the birds, but you saved your life. Here, you upset yourself, assumed all sorts for a pair of glasses. Nobody was dying or living, but the effect is the same. Okay, so that chatter in the brain kills any chance of peace of mind or happiness. So you got a very quick flavor of those. We'll just dive into each one of those quickly as well. On top of that chatter, we have a brain that has become quite grumpy. We are always complaining, hearing complain. So you have a brain engineered for grumpiness. Let's see how. Survival needs awareness, alertness at all times. And if you are, again, in a dangerous situation, that's fine. Concern, anxiety, lookout, that is the nature of the brain. If you spend it, let's say you were in the forest, and once a day there is a noise, that's one incident, and you go back to normal, just like a gazelle or a deer or something in the forest. One moment they smell or they hear danger. After that, maybe all day there isn't another predator. They don't spend it all with that danger. Now, in an office or a whole environment, if you're surrounded by things that signaling all the time, concern, anxiety, etc., social media, YouTube, what have you, you are always alert. Always alert means you're alert to what? Alert to danger, alert to things that could harm you or upset you or enrage you. There are no lions anymore, and yet we still live with a brain that expect predators, doesn't think of them as predators, but the alertness is all the same. Yeah? So staying in this state is grumpiness. So we have a brain that has all these features or now bugs and is in a continuous state of alertness, which causes it to already be engineered to be complaining, grumpy, and happy. So let's look at filtering and look at what happens. Say you're crossing a road. Your mind says, don't look at anything else. Just cross the road safely, which is a good strategy. But then you have to be aware that now with you so focused, you're going to filter out the complexity of life, anything that could be there, maybe a nice breeze, maybe a beautiful person on the other side of the road, maybe there are some trees. Filtering means all of that is out, okay? Even if it was, I don't know, who is a beautiful star or something, you might even miss those. For the ladies of you, maybe Brad Pitt is on the other side of the road, but you don't even notice them, okay? So when we focus on very few things and they're all on the negative side because you're trying to save yourself, okay? And you miss out on life. So that's first feature, slowly become a bug if you're not careful. You still need it, but to a small dose. Assumptions. Let's take another feature. In the past, we assumed it's a predator. Now, we assume all the time. All of you know about the retina and where the optic nerves come in the retina. I think whereas Amar Singh has had an experience with the retina recently, so he's probably the expert in that area. But we all know the optic nerves has to come into the eye somehow. So this spot, can you see where I'm pointing? This spot has actually cannot see because that's where the nerve's coming. But we assume, the eye assumes and complete the scene. You don't see a black spot in your vision. So assumption is really built into us. We assume about other people, about the outcome of situation. We assume if he didn't smile at me, maybe he doesn't like me or she doesn't like me. He didn't answer my mail, maybe disrespect. We assume things will not work out somehow with the smallest signal. Okay? If your significant other is delayed or doesn't come home early, you are staying by the phone, waiting. I wonder what's happened to them. Could they be lying on the side of the road? They've had an accident. Could they be in hospital? So these assumptions bring worries and fears to you. Okay? And we have also assumptions that gives us signals that are not valid. We assume if somebody has the gray hair, they must be wise. That's not true. We know so many idiots who are graying even prematurely. So these signals and these assumptions don't help. Okay? We assume rich means smart. That's what Trump counted on, is they tell them I'm rich, so therefore I'm clever, I'm smarter than anybody, elect me as president, and we know the consequences. So every assumption is a brain-generated story, not the truth. So anytime this is your signal, is this a truth or an assumption? If it is an assumption, you know it's not the truth, and be careful you don't pay the price. Memorizing. Memorizing is a good feature, but could be a serious bug as well. Everything we remember is imperfect. And it's like putting a drop of ink in water. Okay, it dilutes, and especially if the amount of water is a large amount. But we never really remember something in isolation. It's always in connection to something else. So our memories are always joined with the circumstances, the perspective, the other people present, etc. So the memory is always biased. And that's why you don't want to rely on memory. And I notice if you like, the more diligent among you always have a pen and a notebook. Don't rely on memory, because they know it can definitely mislead you, and you could be recording something that is not true, or you forget about it. Memory always focus on the negatives, unfortunately. And I am not also immune to it. When after these meetings, what happens, I look at the rating, and I might have 95% rated 5-star, and 1% or one person rated, let's say, 1 or 2 stars. You focus on the negative. I don't think of the 95%. I wonder why this one person didn't enjoy it or didn't like it. And we do that with everything. You go to a party, there could be 100 people. One person was unfriendly. You forget the other 99 who were friendly, and you remember the one. This is a good pro-survival strategy, but in the social situation, in the civilization we live in now, it's not such a feature, it's a bug. It always gives us a painful version of the past. Judging. In the past, we judge a situation as dangerous. In the present, if you're judging every time, in fact, those amongst you who really want to play this right, just put an elastic band on your wrist. Try this for a few days. Just any old elastic band. And every time you judge a situation, a person, anything, pull the elastic band and let it smack you on the wrist. There's a tiny bit of pain, but it tells you, I caught myself judging. Because judging is one of the costliest things you can do to yourself and to others. It's always based on biases. It doesn't mean anything except what's your background, what your bias is, your opinion. So it's very costly. It's always subjective and invariably leads to upset. Invariably. Even when you tell somebody, I'm talking about judging, let's say you're talking to somebody and I say to you, you don't look happy. This sounds like empathetic. I am being nice. But actually, what does it do to you? You think, I wonder what's wrong with my appearance. I thought I was okay. Maybe I don't smile enough. Maybe what happens now, I start reflecting on myself, and actually, instead of being outgoing, chatting, etc., you made me self-centered. So that judgment, even when it was meant to be positive, it's not all that positive. So anytime you catch yourself judging, it's invariably pricey. And I've often said it. If you want to create friendship, there's only 3 components I can think of. Is don't judge, okay? Listen, okay? Don't advise. Think, don't advise? Why not don't advise? People want to tell you something. They want to talk to you. They're not looking for a guru. They're not looking for a smart aleck who will tell them what to do. And yet we jump straight away to advise. We jump straight away to judge the situation or the person. And therefore, when you are advising and judging what you're not doing, You're not listening. Yet they only came to you to listen. And if you go back to any meeting you've had, I bet you anything, I know some of you are quiet. And you think, I wonder how, especially in sales, I wonder how they win deals. They don't say anything. And invariably, the more you say, the less your chances are. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? But if you are a good listener, I guarantee you, the customer or the other side or the partner walks away and says, what a wonderful person that was. They heard me, they understand what I need, they understand me. We think the more we talk, the more we impress. Nobody wants to be impressed with you. They just want you to listen. Digress. Okay, and the more you judge, you will not see their point of view, where they're coming from, because you stop listening. Labeling, we've seen that also, how it harms us. Imagine labeling a tree a redwood. Can you see what you miss when you label a tree a redwood? We're all familiar, redwoods are massive, massive trees. Some of them live to be thousands of years old. So I need somebody to tell me, what happens when you label a redwood a tree? Sridhar, I'm always eager to talk. Let's hear you. So why wouldn't you want to? Why am I advising against labeling most of the time?
We don't see the other part of it, really.
You know, a tree is like a city, almost as complex as a big city. So if you label a redwood a tree, well, so is bonsai. Bonsai is the Japanese sort of dwarf trees. The label doesn't tell you anything, and yet we live by labels. Everything is labeled. So there is a price to pay for the label, except when you are in absolute danger. Maybe it suits you to label to survive. Labels also gives us signals that are misleading. Let me show you this and tell me what you see. This is a thin African lady, right? What does it signal to us when you see this? Do you see an affluent lady? Come on, act and react with me. What do you think, Naveen? This lady, does she look very rich?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Just a normal person, perhaps a villager, but definitely, and the more skinny it is in Africa, the more we suspect she's poor in Africa. Nobody amongst you will remember this lady, because you're all too young, that she's called Twiggy. Twiggy is a model and maybe acted as well in some parts, is as skinny as a skeleton. But nobody will assume that she is poor. Just doesn't look poor. That's all because our labeling signals things that mislead us. Okay? And if you are in Africa and you want to look for a healthy, affluent lady, you're more likely to go for that. You wouldn't go for the first one. So they, in Africa, not anymore these days, I assume, but to be healthy and wealthy, we look for more a plum lady. In modern days, that is not the case. So the values shift from country to country, culture to culture. And any labeling end up with misunderstanding, having wrong opinion about the other. Emotion, we've seen heightened emotions work well in the desert and in the jungle, not so well in our current environment. Imagine if you're that afraid. You're not going to judge anything wisely, okay, because it colors your reality, okay? And the emotion, if I'm angry with you, you end up guaranteed in an argument. Any decision you make, you're in trouble. And you later say, I wish I just kept my mouth shut. I tell you, this is one of the things that age tells you. The sooner you keep your mouth shut in any situation, the safer it is. No matter how right you think you are. I have lived to regret this many, many times over. I can be the first to admit it. Anytime I was wise enough to keep my mouth shut, it served me really well. I think, I'm glad I didn't say anything there, because facts come to the surface, situation develop, and you think, my goodness, I was about to say this, I'm glad I said nothing. So emotions makes you want to open your mouth. Your natural reaction is, if it is based on emotion, shut it, zip it, and wait for a better occasion. Exaggeration. Can anybody tell me what this guy is showing? What's with this open arms? Anybody does fishing? Fishermen are prone to this kind of expression. A fish that is maybe a foot long becomes, about 2 meters long. We caught this fish and it's always much bigger than the reality. Exaggeration, again, helps in a jungle situation because you exaggerate the danger and you react to it much more actively, but not so much in our current social situation. It magnifies the problem, which the last thing you want to do in a safe environment, magnify unnecessarily situation, because you're facing situations many, many times an hour, not even a day. And if you're exaggerating, whether with your description, your language, etc., you're going to create problem for yourself. With the exaggeration, you're so sucked into it, you will overlook so many nice things happening in your day, and you stress. And I tell you, I learned recently that also stress and worry, there's something else. For those of you who has any issues, it causes what they call chronic inflammation. I didn't even know such a thing exists. So if you have issues, pains, etc., often this is caused by stress and worry that cause that inflammation. And it's surprising, some of us stress and worry on the smallest thing. Some of us, it would take an earthquake before they stress and worry. So it's not common that we all react the same way. So that's what we want. We want to minimize blind spots. How? By being aware that we are bombarded because of our natural evolution by them every day. And when you do that, the clarity is quite amazing. You stopped yourself from labeling. You stopped yourself from judging all these things. So, how we see a situation is far more important than the reality, because everything is colored by our viewpoints. Mm-hmm. And that's really give us a foundation for a true happiness. Now, some of you, I'm going to share with you something that I have a feeling at least 50% would have seen before, but for the remaining 50 is useful. So we sometimes suspect, no, we don't filter. Oh, maybe you're exaggerating here. No, I'm different. I'm scientific. I deal with things differently. So two researchers did an experiment, which I'm going to share with you. And the experiment is showing two teams, one team in white T-shirt, one team in black T-shirts. And they're passing a ball. Are you with me? Just for the sake of me getting a feel, when I finish describing, I'd like you to raise your hand if you've seen this kind of thing before. Anyway, you are supposed to count how many times the team with the white T-shirts pass the ball. They're passing the ball from one to the other. Okay? And count it, see if you can get that accurately. All right, so anybody seen this experiment? The two teams passing the ball? I can't see you all, I can only see, so please make an effort to raise your hand. If you've seen it, then I know. So I see Smirty is raised a hand, a digital hand. Anybody else? Okay, anyway, if it's anything to go by, the people in front of me didn't see it, so that's useful. Okay, let's see. Watch this carefully and see and count how many times the ball is being passed. Okay? Let me see.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count?
14.
Correct answer is 15 passes.
Okay, so has anybody got 15? Raise your hand. Come on, let it be interactive. Good. Marily got 15. Anyone else? Okay, so Had did. Okay, let me now, and Badri. These are people I can see. I'm sure many more did. So let's see. Did you notice also something else about this video?
The gorilla.
Who said that? But Zisan, did you see that before?
No.
Okay, good on you.
But did you see the gorilla?
Did you see the gorilla? Did you see him?
Hello.
Hopefully that shows us really we're not as observant as we are.
This video is from research by Daniel.
Okay, so this is the picture. The gorilla was the biggest thing in the room, even banged its chest. And so many, and usually it is a good percentage that don't see the gorilla. So if you don't believe that the brain filters, hopefully this convinces you the filtering is going on all the time. In this case, the gorilla, in some other cases, something else. But if you want this is the link here. Maybe Marily can share it with you if you should need to show it to somebody else. It really is a convincing play on filtering and all the other blind spot we talked about. Don't believe your brain. It is doing something not to make you smart. It is doing something to help you survive, which today in the safety of Abu Dhabi or Dubai at your home, you don't need. There are no tigers. You need only a little bit of wisdom. You don't need all that survival stuff. All right. I hope this was useful for you. Thank you very much. And if you can rate and send me any comments you have, I'd appreciate it. Have a great day.